As you walk down the beach, you hear the soft waves. You feel the warm sand on your feet. Wait, have you ever thought about why water is important? Almost 3/4 of the planet Earth is water. Because of this unique component, the large ecosystem, the biosphere, is able to support various life forms. But how? How indeed? This video will explore the various characteristics of water that contribute to its significance in not only the survival, but the whole existence as well of the organisms on Earth. The important properties of water are 1. Its unique difference of density at solid and liquid form. Think about a frozen lake in the winter, where a solitary man has made a hole on the surface to catch some fish. You can see that the top few centimeters of the lake has been frozen, and the rest is still water. While this might not necessarily seem like a big deal, this is one of the most important qualities of water that allowed the survival of the organisms since the Cambrian era. This is a phase diagram for a typical element. While it is different for every element, the shape is basically the same, because in general, gas phase is found at high temperatures and low pressure, the solid phase is found at low temperature and high pressure, and the liquid phase is found at high temperature and high pressure. The line known as the boundary line between solid and liquid leans to right for most substances except for water, because for water, as the pressure increases, high temperature is not necessary for it to melt, unlike other substances. This is because for most substances, high pressure favors a typically denser solid phase over the liquid. But for water, as more pressure is applied, the molecular form of water molecule loses its shape and collapses, forming liquid. As in, liquid is more dense than solid for H2O. And this allows for ice to float on the water, and aquatic organisms are able to survive due to this factor. This is especially important because the first organisms on Earth were all aquatic, and they were able to evolve over those billions of years and come to what things are now. 2. Its polarity. Water's importance starts at the molecular level as a neutral and polar substance. Water is made of one oxygen atom and two hydrogen atoms each. The hydrogen atoms form covalent bonds with the oxygen atom. Because oxygen is more electronegative than hydrogen, it has a tendency to draw the covalent bond, the electrons, to itself, thus making itself more negative than the hydrogen atoms. Also, the bent shape of the water molecule makes one end of the molecule positive while making the other negative. The polarity of water contributes to the fact that it's a universal solvent because it is able to dissolve non-ionic compounds, polar, and some of ionic compounds due to the hydrogen bonds water can form with molecules. Water's identity as a universal solvent is important to life because it dissolves various particles in a body, for example blood. Water at molecular level is found throughout the body. This is also the reason why we survive, because the polarity of water contributes to its high specific heat. Specific heat is the amount of energy required to increase one unit of a substance by a specific temperature interval. Having high specific heat means that a substance requires a high amount of energy to raise the temperature of water by 1 degree Celsius. While for cooking this may not always be the best, for biology and the survival of living things, this is highly important because if water specific heat is low, then organisms would spontaneously combust at high temperatures since various biological solutes are dissolved in water, and thank goodness for that. Number 3. Its tendency for adhesion and cohesion. Last but not least, water has a tendency for cohesion and adhesion. The ability is very important to life because these two forces help a plant survive. How so? Cohesion is a force within water. This is due to the strong hydrogen bonds formed among the water molecules. Adhesion is a force between water and something else. Cohesion and adhesion forces are combined to trigger and support capillary action. Capillary action refers to the action by which water is pulled through a tube. Constant capillary action occurs in plants where water needs to be soaked up from the soil from the tips of the roots through the stem and to the leaves and other parts of the plants. Via capillary action, plants are able to get water even when it is not raining, which makes plants more stable and long-lasting. All of these factors are interrelated because without water's characteristics discussed, today's life forms would not be very prevalent because these life forms would not have lasted even a few years after they had been formed due to ice. But they would not have been possible without photosynthesis and various enzymes which are needed for reactions comprising photosynthesis. Number 1. The unique difference of density at solid and liquid forms. Number 2. Its polarity. And number 3. Its tendency for adhesion and cohesion are the main attributes of water that make life possible on Earth.